Hey, how's it going, everybody? Lane here. I want to talk to you about what you do once your book has been written and proofread and edited. I talked about this in our last video about self-publishing, how important it is to get through all those steps first. And then you got to start thinking about how do you actually take your book from its completely written, edited place to a finished product that you can publish. There's some decisions you have to make. There are some things that you're gonna have to do, and we're gonna go through each one of those in this video coming right up. So awesome to have you joining me today. If you would, please subscribe to this channel for more videos like this on self-publishing, personal development, and online business, and make sure to go to lanesebring.com/5steps. I want to put something free in your hands. This is my 5-step guide to writing a #1 best-selling book, which I've done. My first book was a #1 bestseller in its category on Amazon. It was amazing, and I'm going to show you everything that I did to make that happen in 5 steps. Again, that's lanesebring.com/5 steps. Let's jump into what we have for today. Now, you've written your book. You've written the first draft, you've written the second draft, you had it proofread, you had it edited, and now you're at the place where you need to take all of that work and put it out into the world. So you need to launch, you need to format, you need to publish. So there's some decisions that you're gonna have to make. Let's go through each one of them in order. First, decide whether you're going to publish traditionally or self-publish. Now I'm gonna do a whole video on just this topic, but suffice it to say that this is a really important decision. If you're going to pursue traditional publishing, and by that what I mean is going after a company that does publishing, and it's only traditional publishing if it doesn't cost you anything. This is a very important thing to understand. A lot of times people will say that they're doing traditional publishing, they're pursuing traditional publishing, but really what they're pursuing is vanity publishing or assisted self-publishing. You'll know if it's traditional publishing if it doesn't cost you anything. The company foots the bill for the whole thing, and they even pay you in advance. If it costs you anything, then it's really just a self-publishing service that's trying to look like a real publishing company. Nothing wrong with any of the 3 models: self-publishing, assisted self-publishing, or traditional. Nothing wrong with any of them, but you have to decide. And I just want to mention a couple of differences between the traditional publishing and self-publishing, with that other one being kind of a hybrid between the two. Self-publishing is my favorite type of publishing for a lot of reasons, the most of which is that there's no creative control, there's no barriers to entry, there's no red tape. The only thing that determines whether your book will succeed is the market. You put it out in the market, and if it stinks, you'll know it. If it's good, you'll be rewarded with sales. And I think that's the way it should be. When you have a system where you have to go get permission to write something and then write it according to their whims, and then have them edit it and them title it and then put it out in the world, it can remove all of your creative control, and it also delays the process. Now, the benefit to traditional publishing is in some cases you can have a lot more clout, okay? Because it's like, hey, look, I got accepted by Random House or whatever, and that could be really cool. You can get paid in advance, and that's awesome. But the hard part about traditional publishing is that even just getting someone to accept you as a new author is extraordinarily hard, takes a long time, takes a lot of trial and error, takes a lot of pursuing. Most publishers, most authors that are extraordinarily successful have a similar story, that they made 30 attempts or 20 attempts or 35 attempts and were rejected and rejected and rejected and rejected until they finally were accepted. And those are just the stories that we hear about. We don't know how many people just got rejected dozens and dozens of times and just decided not to do it. So for me, I think for most people, self-publishing will satisfy what you need to do. It'll get your book to market, and then once your book is published, you're gonna have to promote it. Whether you're a traditionally published author or a self-published author, it's pretty much the same these days, because publishing companies don't want to spend a whole lot of marketing money. They really want you to do that with your platform, which is why they won't even accept you if you don't have a massive social media following and a huge audience. So why not just build the massive social media following and the big audience and write the book and do it all yourself? hire out the parts that you don't want to do yourself, but do it on a contract basis where you hire the person, tell them what to do, approve it, get it back, and then put it out in the world, self-published, and then you'll make a lot more per copy. That's what I like to do. My books make me around $5 to $7 per copy sold. In a traditional publishing, you're talking about cents, not dollars. So $5 to $7 depending on the format people buy, self-published. 35 to 55 cents or something, or lower. I know a guy who wrote a book years ago, co-authored it, okay? The book has sold 350,000 copies. He makes 14 cents a copy. So him and his co-author both split the final share of 28 cents, so they get 14 cents each. Now they sold a lot of books because it got a lot of circulation and it was written a long time ago. But my gosh, I would rather have a self-published book that doesn't even have to sell a fraction of that many copies, and I would still make more money. So everybody's different. Again, there's nothing wrong with pursuing what's right for you. I just want you to know that is a decision that you have to make. Now, for the rest of this video, I'm assuming that you're pursuing self-publishing because I'm going to walk you through the next things that you need to do to make sure that your book is ready to go. The next thing you'll have to do is decide on your title, subtitle, and back cover copy. So let's go through those one by one. The title, what is your book going to be called? If you think about it, your title is really your hook, okay? It is the thing that people see, the very first thing people see when they look at your book is the title. What is it called? And that title needs to pop. It needs to kind of draw them in. Then your subtitle is the promise. So if this works correctly, your title is really supposed to draw people's eyes to your subtitle. Your subtitle offers the promise. So for example, my first book, Preaching Killer Sermons is the title. Okay, that's the hook. That's kind of interesting. Most preaching books don't have the word killer in it. It was meant to be somewhat kind of draw you in, kind of poppy, kind of almost antagonistic in a good way. Like, what? Preaching killer sermons? That's the hook. The subtitle is the promise. My subtitle for that book is How to Create and Deliver Messages That Captivate and Inspire. So now we've got a promise. Read this book and you'll get a system. You'll be taught how to create and deliver messages that captivate and inspire. Okay? So for the people who want to do that, the right person sees my book on Amazon, they go, oh, I want that, I do that. Well, then if they go and read the back cover copy, it's going to lay out exactly how that's going to be accomplished. So it's going to deliver in a sequential and a good solid way what it looks like when you read my book and the benefits that you're going to get, okay? So you're going to need to think about the title, subtitle, and back cover copy. And again, I'll do another video on just those three things, on probably each of those three things in the future. But for now, just think about what would those be. All right, next, you need to think about cover design. Now that you have a title, a subtitle, and the back cover copy written, you need to think about how is the cover going to be presented. The cover design is extraordinarily important. People say don't judge a book by its cover, but everyone does. It's just the way it is. And when people see your book, they're going to be looking at it on Amazon and they're going to be looking at a thumbnail about this big, right? They're going to be looking at a tiny little thumbnail. And so there's some things that you need to think about. Your title needs to be visible, big block letters, or at least readable on a small thing. Lots of graphical stuff may not work in a little thumbnail. Your title needs to draw people's eye. It needs to be different enough from other books in your market to stand out, but not so different that it doesn't look like it fits. So I designed my cover in Canva. I did it all myself for both of my books. I don't necessarily recommend that. I'm not a designer. I'm not a graphic designer, not a media designer, but I do have friends that are in that space, and I was able to show them what I was working on and get feedback along the way. You don't have to do it yourself. I would say of all the things that you need to outsource, number one is the editing. We talked about that in a previous video. That's extraordinarily important. You have to outsource the editing. The next thing that I would say most people should outsource is the cover design. You can go on Fiverr.com with 2 R's, Fiverr.com, and get someone to bid for the cover and you can do it for under $100, and you can have a cover that is amazing. And if you don't like it, you can just reject it and do something, get a different cover. But the point is, you can give a designer what you want it to look like and they can take it and run with it. But your cover is going to be a very important thing that you're going to have to think through. All right, the next thing is the interior formatting. This is everything from what's called the front matter. That's your table of contents and your acknowledgments page and your preface and anything that you do along those lines. Your body of your book, okay, that's the chapters, that's the parts. And then the back matter, that's maybe endnotes or bibliography or about the author if you put that in the back. So you need to think about, what is all that going to look like? What's going to be included? How is it going to be laid out? And this is actually pretty easy to do in programs like Word. If you're doing your book on Kindle using KDP, you can download a Word template that has the exact dimensions of the way the margins need to go and all this, and you just download that and input the words exactly how it's laid out, and then that can be turned into a PDF and uploaded to KDP. So it's really not that hard to do, but it is a decision that you're going to have to make. And finally, after all of that, you've decided to self-publish. Your book has a title, a subtitle, it has back cover copy, it has been formatted, it has a cover design. All of that has been done. You still have one more thing to do, and that's to launch and promote and market the book. Wouldn't it be a shame if you went to all this work and sold no copies, or just bought a bunch of proof copies for yourself and said, look, I have a book that no one's ever bought? So you got to think about how you want to launch it. There's all kinds of things to get into here. I'm going to do more videos on launching and marketing and promoting, but you need to build a launch plan that includes getting endorsements, that includes building a street team, which is a group of people who are your fans who can help you promote the book. It includes getting on podcasts and doing interviews. It includes putting it up for sale just on the Amazon store. It includes sharing it with your friends. It includes all of those number of things. And so you want to make sure you have a good plan for when your book's going to release, how you're going to launch it, how you're going to market, how you're going to do a continued promotional plan over the next weeks, months, years to make sure that it continues to sell and stays top of mind in your target readers. So those are the things to take all of the steps that we've covered in these videos on how to write a book and take it to the next level. Again, I'll do more videos on each one of these in the future. Until then, I want to hear from you. What kind of questions do you have about taking your book from a written book to a ready to release book? I would love to hear what your questions are. Again, if you got value out of this video and you want more content like this, subscribe for updates, hit that like button, let me know in the comments what questions you have and what I can help you with next. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.